Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Janiyah Willer, and for today's video, I will be discussing the art of intention. What it is living a life of intent. What is it living a life that glorifies God and that aligns to where you want to go and where He wants you to go. So I'll go ahead and just jump right in. This is not like my formal videos. As I said, my videos are more podcast style to be a little more authentic. So I guess I'll just talk about what it means to live a life of intent. For me, it really just means everything glorifying or going back to God. How is doing this going to glorify Jesus? How is going to this party going to glorify Jesus? How is going to this club going to glorify Jesus? Just asking that simple question of how does this very thing glorify God? Everything in your life, you just start to just calculate, measure. Who am I hanging around? Like, if I'm going around these group of girls or these group of people, do they help me glorify God? Does our conversation glorify Jesus? And I know that sounds so deep, but like I said in my last video, the way the days and the months are going, it's like right now you have no choice but to live a life of intent. We don't have time to live loosely. We don't have time to just be doing anything, just trying to make something stick. This is literally the season of being hyper intentional and hyper focused on whatever you are putting your hands to. And one of the questions that a lot of people around me have been asking me is, how do you stay intentional? How are you so focused? How are you not distracted? And honestly, for me, I've not always been this way. I've always been a very focused person. I can say that. Everything that I've done from a young age till now, I've always been very focused about. Not saying that I've never got distracted. Of course I have gotten distracted, but most of the time I've always drawn back to my focus. Whatever I was doing, I was always very focused. Even if I was doing wrong, I was focused on doing wrong. I've always just been a very focused person, and that's just been in me from a very young age. So no matter how far off or how loose I live, I've always been drawn back to that fire, fervent focus inside of me. So for me, one of the things that I say to people, like one of the things that help me stay intentional and help me stay focused, is just by asking that question of, how does this glorify God? How does my friends glorify God? How is what I'm doing glorifying God? How is what I'm saying glorifying God? Just measuring everything off that simple question. Just literally start to move pieces of your life like a puzzle, and God will literally just do the rest. Have an intentional heart, a willing heart, a heart to be intentional, a willing heart, a heart to change, a heart to want to glorify Him, and everything else literally will just fall into place. You don't have to make things work. Asking that simple question before God, like even taking it to God. I feel like we try to make prayer seem so complex. Like, we don't have to pray these long prayers sometimes. Sometimes it's literally just like, God, I have a heart to be intentional for you. I have a heart to glorify you, but I don't know how. Teach me how. Help me to keep that question in the forefront of my mind, whatever I do. And as you have that request towards God, as you submit that to God, things will literally just start to fall into place. And one of the things that I always say as well is I find that intent is a lot easier when you have vision, purpose, and a goal. And I know right now, most times we think that we have a purpose. We think that we have a vision. We think that we have our, goals figured out. But more than likely, it's either given to you by somebody else or given to you by yourself. But all of it needs to be from Him to glorify Him. So for instance, say that I wanted to be a lawyer, which I am going to school to be a lawyer. And then I'm like, okay, so why do I want to be a lawyer? Is it because that somebody else told me I should be a lawyer? Is it because, it looks good, the title looks good? That's only a question that you can ask. You really need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, why are you doing the things that you are doing? Why are you surrounded by the people that you're surrounded by? And are the places you're going to aligning with where you want to go? And I really wish I had a clear answer for trying to figure your purpose and vision out, because I don't. I really don't. And as you just start to put your hand to things, you know when what you're doing is not what you should be doing. And sometimes you know that what you're doing is where you should be and what you should be doing. And today I was watching a video by Miles Monroe, and he said something that was very profound. He said, oftentimes the very thing that we thought of first is the very thing that we should become or will become. For instance, when you're younger and someone asks you the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you utter that response, most often that very response that we utter is the very thing that we should be doing or we should become. But sometimes life happens, things happen, people come to change your mind. You end up going into a field that you're not happy with, surrounding yourself with people that you may not be happy with, doing things that don't fulfill what God has called you to fulfill. And it just leaves you empty at the end of the day. But that very thing that we once thought of when we were younger is oftentimes the very thing we should become or should be doing. And I was like, dang, that's such a loaded statement. Because when you truly think about what you wanted to be or who you wanted to become when you were younger, it's literally either the very person you're walking into today or the very thing that you aspire to still become. It still may have the whole purpose. For instance, say you are a realtor, a lawyer, a business owner. Those are all such different fields, but they still all tie into helping and servicing people in one way or another. So although your work may not all be the same, or your desire may not all be the same, or you may have a desire to go into so many different industries, but more often than not, those industries still tie into the same thing one way or another. So either way, you're still living out your purpose, just in different fields, helping people in different aspects, helping people fulfill different needs, but you're still surrounded by the people business. So that's just an example. It doesn't mean you have to be in the people business. I'm just saying that one way or another, whatever you had to aspire to become or you wanted to become first, is you end up operating in that in the end. If you're not, you'll get there. Think about it, meditate on it, sit down with God, just spend time with God and just ask that question. How can I glorify you? What can I do to glorify you? How can even, and you don't even have to like think out so far ahead, like years from now. Just think about today. Like, God, how can I glorify you today? How can my speech glorify you today? How can my demeanor glorify you today? How can me helping someone glorifying you? Just that simple question of just for today, it'll add up and you'll just start to see it change entirely. So that's my little nugget, I guess you will say, for the day, or for this video. Just being intentional about everything that we do in this life, that it's not for us, it's for Him. The purpose, the plan, the vision, the goals should be from Him, for Him. How can we glorify God? How can being XYZ glorify God? Just all tying it back into that generic question of how does this very thing glorify God, automatically snaps your mind into trying to be more intentional. And like I said, you don't have to try to think about it in such a complex way or so far out of a year from now, 5 years from now, because sometimes that can become overwhelming and stressful. Just thinking small of, God, how can I glorify you today? And things will start to happen. Answers will start to come. Everything will start to fall in line. I don't have a step-by-step guide on how to figure out your purpose or how to figure out your vision or how to figure out your goal. I don't have a clear step-by-step guide for that, unfortunately. My only answer is seeking God, getting in your word, seeking His face, talking to Him, asking Him about it. And one of the things that my pastor has said which was so profound, was the more time you spend with God, you can trust your desires. I know my desires are trusted because I spend time with God. I know this is not of the flesh because I've been putting in time with God. Like I said, it doesn't have to be 4, 5, 10 hours. Just those moments of putting Him first, making Him priority. When you wake up, throughout your day, in your car, before you go to sleep, making Him priority. And as you begin to make Him priority, I promise everything will fall in line. Everything. I'm telling y'all. Like, I wish I was telling you guys just like something that I thought of, but this is something that I've lived. Something that putting God first, your life truly changes. Falling in love with, one of the things my pastor always says is fall in love with Jesus. Like, fall in love with Jesus and everything else in your life will come to play. And I feel like we over obsess sometimes of our goal and our purpose. And I know the intent is pure. Become obsessed with his word. Become obsessed with falling in love with him. Become obsessed with his vision. Become obsessed with his plan. Become obsessed with his purpose. And all of that is in the Bible. And once you become obsessed with that, I promise you, you will walk into your own. You will walk into what you are supposed to walk into. It says in the Bible, seek ye first and everything else shall be added onto you. But I feel like in this generation, of course, we're trying to make everything else add onto us, and then we try to seek him. Lord, give me my purpose, give me my purpose, give me my assignment, give me my assignment. And I feel like most times when we say those prayers, it's for our own self. It's for our own selfish ambition. It's for our own just fleshly desires. But asking that question of, what is my purpose for your glory? What is my desire for your glory? Tell me what to want for you. Tell me what to crave for you. Tell me how to live for you. And meaning that in every aspect of your life. And I promise you, everything else will fall into play. And that's that. I'm pretty much, done with the discussion about the art of intentionality. And I hope you gained something from this video, whether or not it was a saying or a phrase, but I pray that you've gotten just something to help you just become more intentional in life. And I know it's not your generic answer. It's not your cliche answer. Prayerfully, it was something that you could apply to your day-to-day life. And that is all for this segment. And I hope to see you all in another video. Bye.